Hi, this is Christian with Forest of Art and Healing Arts and Yoga Bear Box. And in this video I want to talk about connective tissue and aging and how to avoid injury to your connective tissue as you get older. I want to start by telling you a couple of stories. First, this year in June I'll be 59 years old. And I've been doing sport and fitness activities since I was 9 years old. I came from a sporty family. I played American football, track and field, basketball, volleyball. I cycled. As a teenager, I was a world-class race walker. As an adult, I've run marathons, cycled, practiced yoga, qigong, and tai chi. Now, recently I went through a period of less physical activity from 2009 to 2016, and because I was getting a doctorate and trying to get into academia. And this is one of the worst things I could have done for my body. Because I was sitting at my computer all the time, moving very little, and the high stress raised my blood pressure, and I started to age quickly. And I'm now trying to reverse that, and this is one of the reasons why I'm making this video. I'm thinking about this right now. The other story I want to tell you is about my father. My father was a professional American football player and a track and field athlete. He continued to run track, including completing many decathlons, and specialized in the weight throwing events well into his 70s. He even began playing baseball later in life. He suffered lots of injuries as a football player, playing at a time before effective safety equipment existed. As a masters athlete, he would frequently pull muscles and tear his connective tissue. He stretched, but not very effectively. He tried yoga a few times, but he had the characteristic impatience and stubbornness of a man his age and culture. Over the years, his knees ended up permanently injured and in pain, so he followed the usual path to the doctor's office, and they replaced one of his knees. Well, it didn't work, and he ended up on painkillers for the rest of his life. The painkillers lost their effectiveness over time as he built tolerance to them, and the doctors prescribed him stronger painkillers. Then they had to prescribe him drugs to handle the side effects. Soon he had a box full of pharmaceuticals next to his bed, many of them contraindicated to each other. The meds began to cause other problems, and in combination with his personality and high-stress life, soon he was unable to sleep without sleeping pills, unable to walk without a cane. He was constipated, and then the strangest of things, the connective tissue in his lower body contracted so much that he couldn't open his knees. His legs blew up in edema, and he underwent a steep decline and died in a hospice at 84 years old, much younger than he should have died considering his lifetime fitness. Helping other people avoid this outcome is my second inspiration for this video. All of this is preventable. The solution is simple. Keep stretching, keep moving, keep getting massages. Keep your connective tissue and muscles healthy. As soon as you stop doing this, you start dying. Now, that's easier said than done for older people. In part one of this video, I want to discuss why it's important to consider the health of connective tissue in older people. And in part two, I want to detail ways to stay injury-free as you get older. First, let me separate two items: time and aging. There is no genetic code for time-related aging in humans. You are not genetically programmed to die young or at any specific time. The current research in biogerontology shows that not only is aging a matter specific to each individual, but it's one's relationship to one's environment that ages one. Aging is not due to nature, but to harmful nurture. The only cause of aging and death is entropy, the breakdown of one's syntropic organization, one's capacity for regeneration. From the moment we are born, we are potentially dying. Entropy is the ever-present possibility of chaos, of system breakdown. Life results from holding an organized balance in one's systems and from the constant regeneration of tissues in the body. Once this balance breaks down, once the entropy takes over, you start headed towards death. Now, this could happen in the crib at 6 weeks old, or in a hospice at 84 at the end of an entropic decline. The mechanisms of aging are alterations in biomolecules and tissues that lead to a loss of function. There are many of these. Some are distal mechanisms, such as a sedentary lifestyle and obesity that makes you more likely to suffer metabolic breakdown later in life, including alterations in glucose regulation and type 2 diabetes in one's 50s and 60s. Others are more proximal mechanisms, such as an alteration in the structure and function of the insulin receptor on the cell membrane due to a diet high in sugar during adulthood. Longevity refers to a single point, death. Aging reflects the changes that occur over a period of time. Another word for aging is senescence. These changes in an organism that adversely affect its vitality and its function, and increases mortality rate as a function of time. Now, in this statement, we hear the connection of time and aging, but it is not time that ages, but poor treatment. We do not simply age, we kill ourselves. And we do so because we live in a culture that does not value and take care of its physical bodies. People commonly lose vitality, flexibility, speed, and strength as their life progresses through the years, making it look as if it is the years themselves that are what are deteriorating the person and will eventually kill the person. However, like any other type of ideology and fetishism, for example, commodity fetishism, this type of thinking ascribes a power to the passage of time that time itself does not have, and in doing so, allows the real culprits of physical degeneration to get away with their continued destruction of our bodies. If you think that you have back pain because you are past middle age, then you will not know to blame and fight against the economic and social systems that have been loading your back with stress for years. You will also never critique yourself for an inadequate response to the first pains you felt in your back long before your back went out. Nor will you challenge the flawed medical paradigm that has very little clue how to cure back pain. If our symptoms are just because we're getting older, then we will never challenge and change the systems that rob us of the function and vitality of our bodies. A good place to begin thinking about this is in our connective tissue. Connective tissue is bones, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, fascia, fat, blood, and lymph. Let's consider fascia. Where do we have fascia? Absolutely everywhere in the body. Fascia is just under our skin. It separates all of our body's compartments. Fascia wraps and connects every bone, ligament, tendon, blood vessel, organ, nerve, the brain, the spinal cord, the eyeballs, the genitals. Absolutely everything in the body is wrapped, connected by fascia. Fascia is present as tiny fibers inside and outside of cells. Fascia is ubiquitous in the human body. Now, fascia is made up of fibers and ground substance, of varying composition depending on its function. The ground substance is the gelatinous substance in which the fibers are set. Now, this gel changes its condition from soft to hard and back again, depending on what we do to it. If the ground substance of a fascia becomes hardened, then it does not stretch well. It tears easily, and it does not allow adequate fluid flow through it. As the ground substance hardens, the tissues around it, which it feeds with the fluids that flow through it, lose their biochemical balance and vitality. Entropy threatens. Since fascia is absolutely everywhere in the body, and therefore every single operation of the human body is carried out in the presence of or with the participation of fascia, then the health of your fascia is the health of your body. Guess what is the first thing to deteriorate in older people? Fascia. As we allow our bodies to age, as we let our fascia harden and tighten, it blocks fluid flow and limits movement. Tight fascia is what causes the characteristic hunchback and limited movement of older people. Not genetics, not it runs in your family, not, well, you're getting older now. No. People and their environment have tightened their fascia. Now they can barely move. Wait, I've not told you the really trippy part yet. Fascia has a property called thixotropy. It responds to pressure and stretch. When you move your connective tissue, you are telling it how you want it to organize itself, and the fascia responds. You can let it get hardened, or you can soften it and make it pliable, depending on what you do with your body every day. You can sculpt your own body. You can sculpt the conditions of your fascia, and your fascia responds. As you move, you cause electric charges, positive and negative, in your connective tissue. This is because connective tissue, including bone and fascia, is piezoelectric, meaning that mechanical movement causes electrical information. And connective tissue is also a semiconductor, meaning that electrical information is transformed into biological information. You can cause your fascia to grow or deteriorate depending on how you use it. Your fascia conducts information through your whole body with every step you take. Through movement of your fascia, for example, with bodywork or yoga, you can tell your fascia exactly what you want it to do. The solution is in your hands, but the doctors don't tell you this. You know why? Most of them don't know it. They don't study fascia. Allopathic medicine does not concern itself primarily with the most ubiquitous tissue in the body, fascia. And what is the first sign of aging in most people? The first physical quality to deteriorate. It is the vitality of the fascial ground substance. It hardens, it stiffens, fluid flow through it is impeded. As the ground substance hardens, interstitial fluid volume decreases, people literally shrink. Lymph and immune cells decrease in numbers and in strength, leaving the person open to attack by pathogens. One of the central theories of aging in the research today is called the cross-link theory, and it goes like this. Proteins, structural molecules, and DNA develop detrimental chemical bonds, cross-links to each other. This decreases their functionality. The fibers of the connective tissue of fascia adhere to each other through these cross-links. Glucose binds to proteins under the presence of oxygen, and this occurs with a higher concentration of sugar in the blood. This is why eating a diet rich in antioxidants and low in sugar is necessary for good health. This process hardens the collagen in connective tissue. If it happens in the heart, it stiffens the cardiac tissue, increasing the risk of a heart attack. If it happens in the blood vessels, it can lead to high blood pressure. In the skin, it delays wound healing. Stiff connective tissue reduces joint mobility. It changes the lens of the eye. As the cross-links accumulate in the connective tissue, it loses mobility and becomes less soluble. And fiber rigidity decreases cellular fluid flow, decreasing the nutrients in and the waste products out. There is also a loss of elasticity. This is aging. How do we avoid this? Move, stretch, get massage, break up the cross-links, keep the fascia pliable. Maintain an active lifestyle that includes activities that prevent cross-links from forming and break up adhesions when they do form. Research has found that a massage move called cross-fiber frictions, one of the most effective moves in structural bodywork, breaks up these adhesions and returns connective tissue to its vital state. Also, regular yoga and stretching practice will keep the connective tissue pliable and alive. And movement therapies such as Feldenkrais and MoveNat help to organize movement and make it less injurious to the connective tissue. These health practices are needed for lifelong healthy connective tissue. Aging is not inevitable. In the next video, I will talk to you about how to keep your connective tissue healthy as an older person. In some ways, it is simple. But if we are carrying an accumulation of injury and hardening of our connective tissue, then we have to be very strategic about how to do it. I'll show you this, and I will also be quite frank about how difficult it is to do this in our current societies.